Clara arrived at Blackwood Asylum on a gray, overcast morning, the kind that promised a storm. The hospital was a hulking Victorian relic, perched on a hill overlooking a desolate coastline. Inside, the silence was heavy, broken only by the rhythmic flicker of failing fluorescent lights and the distant, lonely echo of her own footsteps. The air was cold, carrying the faint, metallic scent of antiseptic and something else. Something old and sad. The head nurse, a woman with a face as grim as the building, led her to her new office. This was Dr. Albright's, she said, her voice flat. He left rather suddenly. Years ago, the room was sparse, dominated by a heavy oak desk and a large ornate mirror hanging on the wall. As Clara ran her hand over the desk's worn surface, her fingers brushed against a small, locked drawer. A strange chill ran down her spine, and for a moment, she thought she heard a child's faint whisper carried on the draft. Her curiosity got the better of her. While exploring the office, her hand found a small, rusted key taped to the underside of the desk. With a click, the locked drawer sprang open. Inside, it was crammed with dozens of children's drawings. They were unsettling. Houses were drawn without doors, figures had gaping voids where their eyes should be, and in almost every single picture, a sinister black spiral hung in the sky like a dark, unblinking eye. She picked one up. A small, stick figure girl standing in a field of withered flowers. On the back, in faint pencil, was a name. Lily M. Clara felt a knot of dread tighten in her stomach. She'd seen that name before, during her orientation. Lily M. was a patient who had died under mysterious circumstances decades ago. She checked another drawing, a boy near a broken swing set. Daniel P., another deceased patient. One by one, she went through them, a macabre roll call of the hospital's forgotten tragedies. The drawings weren't just art, they were tombstones. Then, one drawing made her blood run cold. It showed a little girl with wide, terrified eyes, staring at her own reflection in a mirror identical to the one in her office. Clara looked up from the drawing, her gaze locking onto the polished glass. For a split second she saw it, a shadow in the reflection, a fleeting shape standing just behind her shoulder where there was nothing but empty air. She blinked and it was gone. The connection was undeniable. The drawings, the mirror, the disappeared children, it was all linked. Each time she focused on a new drawing, the reflection in the mirror seemed to warp. A light would flicker in the glass, but not in the room. A book on the shelf behind her would appear open when she knew she'd closed it. The distortions grew bolder. Soon, she wasn't just seeing shadows. She saw the ghost of a small boy standing behind her in the mirror, his form pale and translucent. He looked directly at her, his lips moving without a sound, but the words echoed in her mind. We drew what we saw, and then we disappeared. A frantic search of the hospital's crumbling archives confirmed her fears. Every child from the drawings had been part of an experimental art therapy program run by the very same Dr. Albright, who had vanished. The files were heavily redacted, but the pattern was clear. Join the program, draw the spiral, and vanish from all records. As she sat in the security office late one night, scrolling through archived footage, the monitors began to glitch. For a single, terrifying frame, the camera feed of her own office showed her reflection in the mirror, but it was smiling a wide, unnatural grin, even as her real self sat frozen in fear. Behind the drawer where she found the drawings, her fingers closed around something else, an old cassette tape, its label faded but still readable. Session 13. With trembling hands, she found an old player in the storage closet and pressed play. The hiss of the tape filled the room, followed by the soft, timid voice of a child. Dr. Albright. She made us draw the man in the spiral, the child whispered. She said he was our friend, but if we stopped drawing, he came for us. The tape cut out with a sudden, choked scream. Clara dropped the cassette. The black spiral symbol, once confined to paper, now seemed to bleed into reality. A faint spiral appeared like a watermark on the wall. She scrubbed at her arm, convinced she could see the same dark shape swirling just beneath her skin. She returned to her office, her heart pounding a frantic rhythm against her ribs. There was one last drawing at the bottom of the stack, one she hadn't seen before. It depicted her, Clara, sitting at the desk. She was surrounded by the smiling faces of the lost children. And in the drawing, the mirror behind her didn't reflect her back. It reflected their faces, all staring out. The next morning, the head nurse walked past Clara's office and noticed the door was ajar. Peeking inside, she found the room was empty. The chair was pushed in, the lights were off, and a strange silence had settled over the space. Everything was in its place, except for one thing. Lying in the center of the dust-free oak desk was a single, fresh piece of paper. It was a new drawing. In it, a group of children stood together, holding hands and smiling. In the very middle of them, holding a black crayon, was Clara. Her smile was the widest of all. As the nurse watched in horrified silence, the small drawer on the desk slowly, impossibly, slid shut on its own. The camera pans one last time to the ornate mirror on the wall. For a moment, the glass is empty. Then, figures emerge from the gloom within the children, with Clara now standing among them. Her reflection turns to the camera, her ghostly voice, a soft, inviting whisper that chills the air. It's your turn to draw.